Hey trackies, welcome back to another video here on TXT Track Time. Please remember to like the video and also subscribe to the channel. So the Racers Grand Prix went down over the weekend and there are a few events that I did not speak about just yet. And since, most people have already announced the, performances, rather than me, just announcing what happened, I'm just going to go a bit further and talk about what I thought about these performances and, of course, the athletes in question and what this means for Jamaica potentially going forward.
Jamaica is always a force to be, it's just a dominant force. So it's good to come out here and actually run from own track. Show everybody with Jamaica, build some more people and I come up and I come up and I come out.
Now, for me personally, there's been, a particular talk, circling, I suppose, the track and field spaces that, hey, when it comes to Jamaica and our track and field, especially in our women, says we have been pretty dominant for years on end. And I'm talking about even before we've come to the fore and started to literally win the gold medals, we've always been in the medals, you know what I mean, for years on end until we eventually graduated to, gold medal status, and of course, 1, 2, 3 status, and of course, consistently at least getting 2/3 people on a medal podium, each championships, right? So with that said, there's a little conversation, rumbling, I suppose, in the back alleys. Are people hoping and wishing and dreaming, that Jamaica will fall off in short order, once Shelly-Ann Fraser Price retires, once Elaine Thompson here retires, and Shericka Jackson isn't that far off, according to them, from retiring also. So Jamaica sprinting dominance is just going to take us nosedive. You know what I mean? That's their hope, I suppose, right? Now, clearly, when we look at our next generation, they're quite young, right? So it will take a few years for them to, graduate to, the level where, when Shelly-Ann Fraser Price came out, she could burst onto the scene and drop a 10.85 at the National Stadium and shock everybody, in 2008, right? Or, Elaine Thompson here, coming out and doing shocking things in the 200 meters in 2015, almost getting a gold medal there as well. Shelly walked out with the gold in 2008 at the Beijing Olympics. Same Beijing, Elaine Thompson here incidentally walked out with the 200-meter silver medal. But when you look at the younger generation, as I said, it's taking a while for these athletes to transition. And the more and more we watch them, we think to ourselves, okay, let's just give them some more time. Let's not rush the process. But over the weekend, I have to say, I was pleasantly surprised with what I've been seeing. Now, there are a few that I think are peeking their head out that I'm not going to really talk about in this video because I've talked about them so much in many other videos that I really want to give the athletes that, performed over the weekend the highlight. So in the women's 200 meters, let's start there.
Meters. Thomas of Jamaica has come away well. Brilliant curve coming from the Jamaican Thomas. Kenny Hill trying to chase. So too is a ship to warn. But it's Thomas who is well clear, and she wins by a long way.
Right, we had some of the women come out and run really well, in my opinion. Now, taking the win was Lanae Tava Thomas. Now, many people are not familiar with her, but she was formerly a USA rep and now is repping Team Jamaica. Right, she made the team to the World Championships last year. Unfortunately, didn't get to go because the paperwork didn't go through in time. So that said, this year, strictly Jamaican, she comes in and she runs a personal best 22.36 seconds to win the women's 200 meters, done in a positive 1.8 meters per second win. But fantastic running from her because this is just what I would consider an eye into or a window into what she'll be capable of this season, and it looks like she'll definitely be able to get to close to sub 22, if not sub 22, by the end of the season. Why? Because she has all that strength, right? She has a lot of 400-meter background, right? And she's been working on her speed. We've seen her in the 100 meters, so she's definitely been working on her speed. And I think everything comes together quite sweetly over the 200-meter distance for her. And look at this evidence shows she comes out and she drops a 22.36 to be, if I'm not mistaken, the second fastest Jamaican this season. Incidentally, the fastest I believe is Brenna Liston over the 200 meters this season. But anyway, as I said, don't really want to touch on Brenna Liston because I've talked about her many times before, right? But in this particular race, Lanae comes out and I said runs a fantastic personal best, which again tells us, in my opinion, that the next generation is going to be ready. Give them a couple years, right? We still have Shericka still around, Elaine is still around, right? Shelly has graduated from, the two clearly, but still they're gonna be here, because give them a few more years and they'll be able to get into their best years to come, I believe, in the sport. And these athletes will be sub 22 athletes in short order, right? If not this season, as I said, Lanae, based on this particular trending, she goes to our national championships, then she'll be working somewhere with her coach Fro, and he's doing fantastic things out there with that team. We see what is happening with the likes of a Julian Alfred, right? So clearly she's in good training space right now. So with that said, potentially much more to come this year, much less the years to come, as I said, when people are thinking Jamaica is gonna fall off, right? No, also in this race, which I was very impressed by as well, is Ashanti Moore. She was in the race as well. She was training overseas before she came back, and she's been seeing her best times since being back here, right? And she runs second in the race, running at 22.74 seconds. And Jordan Williams running out top three, running at 22.95. Those were the three athletes that dipped below 23 seconds in the race. Great running, especially when you consider what the rest of the world is doing. Not many people are doing much faster than this anyway, right? So with that said, great running for these athletes. And I said, to me, showing the world that okay, they're not that far off or not that far behind like you may be thinking. Now, there's one other athlete that I want to mention in this particular video, and that is Krystal Sloley. Now, I talked about it in the results video, but I just want to go in a bit more on her in this video now.
Raven goal. Slowly and Clayton come up well. Soulful and Julian Alfred. Alfred takes control. Fourth and slowly chase. It's Alfred ahead of Slowly. 10.7.
She ran at 10.99 personal best to finish right behind Julian Alfred in this race, which was fantastic, right? Now, I know prior to this, a lot of people were saying, hey, Krystal Sloley, is going to be the breakout athlete when she ran at 11.09 seconds. Fantastic for her, right? And also, kind of mirroring her to maybe that of a Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce in the formative years when Shelly-Ann, really came to the fore. But I kind of go back to that Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce moment, and I think to myself, what Shelly did in 2008 was wild, because the times that she was running prior to heading into the championships, even the years before, was nowhere close to her going in and running at 10.85, clearly making the team one and two, going on, the same year in 2008 to run at 10.78, I believe, to win at the Olympic Games in Beijing, right? No, there's another athlete that MVP did something similar with. I want to say, I'm trying to think in my brain, and I can only think of two athletes that really came to the fore from MVP out of nowhere. Let's put it that way. So Shelly was one, but I think Shelly's was wild, right? No, clearly we're looking at Krystal Sloley that is already at a 11.0, at 10.99, sorry. The only other athlete that was sub 10 heading into trials, if I can recall, for MVP in recent times, was Elaine Thompson here. I'm trying to remember what Christania's times were back then, but I don't recall her being sub 11 just yet, right? I know she was running really well back in 2016, but I don't think she was anywhere close to sub 11, right? But sub 11 heading into a trials, the only one I can think of is clearly Elaine Thompson here. And we saw what Elaine went on to do, in 2000 and same 15 that particular year. So Krystal Sloley already going sub 11 at this particular point, 10.99, definitely is signaling and heralding that, hey, whatever Stephen Francis is doing over there, he's definitely hit upon another athlete that nobody was looking at, not one of the major stars you would say coming out of champs, right? But guess what? Without her hard work, dedication to the sport, she is the one that is coming to the fore right now, already 10.99. And now the thoughts are being thrown out now that, hey, if she's already this fast, no, what will she run at trials? You know what I mean? So again, when you look at the younger generation coming up, so Krystal Sloley is 22, and also when we look at Lanae is 23, right? So they're literally coming to the fore immediately. Again, Lanae, we see Lanae doing great things right now. To me, potentially sub 22 this year, if not, bordering 22 seconds right there. And for Krystal Sloley, we all know MVP and their magic run there when they, get an athlete and they focus on that athlete will start to do ridiculous things. So if Krystal Sloley Sloley is the next one. I'm just expecting, fantastic things from her. And those things can immediately, come to the fore, right? So Jamaica, won't have that sharp decline that everybody is hoping to have based on what I saw this weekend. And I'm happy to report that, yeah, we're in good stead. And once Shelly steps away, once Elaine steps away, once Shericka steps away, even maybe some of them may be forced to step away, you never know. Because if they run fast enough, like a Krystal Sloley, if we go into what has happened in formative years, again, if you look at Elaine Thompson here back in 2015, she got all the way down to 10.8, and that was before she went to Beijing and slap with people and run 21.6. So if she was supposed to really focus on that 100 meters that year, maybe she would have already been at 10.7 sprinter, and she was coming from sub 11, out of not MVP, sorry, UTech, right, at that particular point, right? And then of course there's Shelly, as I said, Shelly did fantastic things, but then 10.85 from the trials to 10.78 at the Olympic Games. So going off that, maybe Krystal Sloley will force some athletes out, but all I want people to know is that at the end of the day, Jamaica is in great stead based on what I'm seeing right here, and we won't have that sharp decline in the women's sprinting. I know a lot of you are hoping, but nanny nanny boo boo. We will be good. And of course, there are many more athletes that are on the horizon, are on the rise right now, on the horizon, right? A lot of little young ones that will take those few years, to matriculate properly to the professional ranks, and we'll just give them the time. But the decline won't do that. Wait, Fafi, anyway, guys. I think I phrased it. But anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, guys. Like the video, of course, and subscribe to the channel. I'll catch you all in the next one. Bye.